Nioh 3 launches in exactly a week from today. With the release of the demo and the marketing embargo dropping, there is a ton of hype building around Team Ninja's latest game. And I think as a modern gamer, it's so easy to get swept up in the hype from all the various platforms we consume. Even my first impressions video has a title filled with hyperbole. In this video today, though, I want to help break through the hype for a no bullshit assessment of whether or not you'll like this game. This is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos. So with that being said, I'm breaking this video into 3 parts by making an assumption for each part. Part 1 will be for players that have never played any Souls-like or Nioh game. People coming in from, say, Ninja Gaiden, or just love the setting and got swept up in the wave. For these folk, I'll tell you that Nioh 3 is probably the best point to jump into this genre, as it's the most forgiving of the 3 across all of its systems and the most streamlined in making those systems a lot more accessible. But this recommendation comes with a word of caution about the difficulty, which I'll address after the intro. Part 2 will be for players that have played this genre and are big fans. So anyone who has played Lies of P, anything made by From Software, Lords of the Fallen, the list goes on. Nioh 3 will challenge you in a different set of ways than you're used to. Sekiro was all about timing, far more precise timing than the Soulsborne games. Take the timing of Sekiro with the combo and action speed of, say, Ninja Gaiden, coupled with the mechanics that this genre is known for, then spice in some Diablo-style loot, and you have a Nioh title. The biggest hurdle is going to be perfecting the key pulse technique, because it'll trip you up initially, but it's absolutely required to be good at this game. Part 3 will be for Nioh veterans that played the first 2 games. Nioh 3 will be jarring for you at first. You'll have far more freedom to pick and choose skills, ninjutsus, magic, everything. But you'll be restricted in your weapon usage for the first time by the implementation of the stance system. I was initially against this system, but now I love it because I can flex to different play styles on the fly for different situations rather than investing an entire character build into it. It's like playing 2 characters simultaneously, which makes the game feel more open to me personally versus feeling like I need to wait for a second playthrough to try something new. Lastly, regardless of which of these 3 categories you fall into, there's a demo that came out. So please don't go pre-order or buy until you've played that demo. Get a feel for the game, then decide if you want to buy into the hype. I'm loving the game and I have an entire video on that, but I just want to make sure you aren't disappointed ahead of time. But that's too long, didn't watch this entire video. So if that's all you want to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can navigate ahead to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters on the timeline and the description. And if you are heading out and you found the video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those helps me out in a huge, huge way. You can find a link to my Twitch below where I'll be streaming Nioh 3 today and all weekend, so swing by and see what the game is all about. Let's get started here on if Nioh 3 is going to be the best game for you. Loading into the game, let's take a look at this from the scope that you've never played any Soulsborne game, you never played Elden Ring, anything like that, or a Nioh title for that matter. And you're coming into this and just trying to understand how this whole thing works. Is the hype wave worth it? Well, let me just kind of give you a quick primer on what makes this genre a thing. For one, it's extreme difficulty. Getting hit by something that is weak could still capsize you even if you're pretty far into the game. It is a little bit different here because you do have a pretty progressive RPG system here, that this is an open world where there are set levels pretty much, where it's saying, I come over here, this location here, it says recommended level 6. This location over here, recommended level is 19. So things in these locations hit you for less than the things in these locations, which is just kind of a tale of this time. But it's just kind of worth noting that for this game specifically. Not all games share that quality. But there's also the quality, or I'm sorry, the system of leveling up in these games. When you come over to this little location, I go to level up, and you'll see that I've got all these stats. Then I've got this stuff that's called Amrita. In a lot of other games, it's called souls. It's basically your currency that you spend to level up one of these points by 1. And you can see here, Amrita needed for next level is 11,500, and I only have 4,600 right now. So if I go gather that Amrita, I can then spend it to level up. And you gather that Amrita by killing things. That's just kind of the way this game works at a top-down perspective. So there's this guy over here. We're going to sneak up to him and try to get a sneak attack. We did. Oh, man, I'm the best person in the world. Holy, okay, didn't kill him, whatever. And there we got it. So we killed it, and we went up about 200. It's in the lower right-hand corner. It faded in, then faded out. We went up about, you can see right there, 4056 in the lower right corner from 4600. So that thing gave us 200 Amrita. Now things could kill me, and if they kill me, I have a grave that stays in the place, the exact location that I died, and I have to run back from the last shrine that I was at to recover that Amrita. Otherwise, it's gone forever if I die again. So that's this genre on, again, a top-down level. So Nioh has those same qualities, of course, but I can now, if I'm a samurai, I can switch quickly into a ninja just like that, and I can play this play style as I see fit. So the game is in and of itself very, very easy, I think, fundamentally to understand. And I'm playing against stuff that is pretty easy. So let me jump over to a location that's a little bit harder to give you a sense of scope on the difficulty, because that's what's going to be really important. Because even though we've just talked about what makes this genre at a base level, it's important to understand the other side of that coin, which is extreme difficulty. That makes this genre what it is. So coming into a location that's a little bit more on brand for my difficulty, let's show some combat and kind of talk about that difficulty and how it kind of comes to life. So our character itself right now is in samurai mode, and I can have a mid stance, a low stance, or a high stance. Those dictate basically my attack speed, my attack strength, and also other combos that will come out of it. And we'll show that off in just a second here. I'm going to do everything in mid stance, which is what you would start the game in. And one thing to note is if I swing my sword, you can see that my key bar, which is that little blue bar below my white health bar, starts to drop. And a big mechanic for this game, because this game is about timing in the way that a lot of this genre is, but it's also about like evading and being able to bring that into other further combos. There's a lot of like fighting game DNA here, because that's from the Ninja Gaiden. You're getting a lot of that kind of combo sense from that series. So if I attack and do this, those little blue sparklies around me, I have to time another button to do what's called a key pulse. That key pulse is important to everything. It's going to be a very big portion of the next section for those that are coming into this game for the first time that do love this series or genre. So it's worth kind of bringing that up, because these are all difficult portions of this, and everything is then nested. So if we come into my skills, you can see like here, or I'll go right here. My skills, let me go over to like say dual swords. Well, okay, this is just holding Y button, and I can do this ability right here. Well, now I can do this, and I can, repels incoming attack while stabbing at the enemy over your shoulder. There's a lot of like nesting to these abilities to take advantage of certain things. And some things share the same ability. Like this is back and Y, and this is back and Y. So I have to decide which one of these I want to use. I think I have a deflect one in here somewhere. Nope, center of the cross. There it is. So now when I deflect, if I press X right after, I'll deflect it and then get a follow-up attack. So you learn to start nesting your basic capabilities together, which is something that a lot of the other games of this genre do not do. It's just, hey, yeah, you're going to parry something and then you're going to attack that something. It's always the same inputs for attacking. Maybe you learn a little bit different things with those attacks, but it's by and large the same stuff. So let me see if I can get a deflect going here. So that little capability right there, that deflect plus the attack, is unique because I've trained it for this weapon. And it can't just kind of go to town like swinging. You have to learn to dodge, you have to learn to deflect, and this is something that the samurai does. If I switch over to the ninja here, as I take damage while talking about this, I cannot do that unless I learn it through a skill. So I have to now evade. That's the big point of the ninja, is evading and just being super agile. And you don't get that key pulse capability. You now have the ability to create like a little what's it called, shadow, that like is like a duplicate of you, so that the enemies attack that shadow thinking it's you, which allows you to get into different place and do different things. So you have the ability to leverage two different styles of gameplay on the same character, which is, no, that's gonna kill me, which is really fun and cool and unique. But it's worth noting that as someone who's played all of these series of video games, all of these specific Nioh titles, there are still challenges ingrained in this, and those challenges do ramp up as you go from location to location and as you get into different mechanics. If I decided to stop playing this game for 2 weeks, it's a perishable skill set. I'd come back into it and be like, what was I doing? Oh, okay, I had the Kusurigama. Oh, okay, I have this ability. Oh, I got that ability here. Like, I'd have to relearn a lot of this. Much in the same way that if you're playing a fighting game and you haven't played in like a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, you'll forget some of the combos because a lot of it is muscle memory. So that's the ingrained portion of the difficulty of this game. And I did want to bring that up. There is also the complexity to the equipment system in this game. This is, if you're playing again like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring, it's far more of a transparent situation. This has a Diablo loot style. So this is low, this is common, this is uncommon, this is rare. Then there's purples in here somewhere, right? There you go. You have that progression of loot. So you might have tons of the same item, but that progression of loot then needs to be taken into consideration. And looking at this, you might go, oh, what the hell are all those special effects over here? Well, you can press a button and it gives you all the transparency that you need. The game is very transparent and it does give you a lot of information, but for all the ways that it is transparent, it can be very clunky and be very frustrating. So this is if you've never played this genre. This is still, I will say, the best point to jump into a Nioh title. The open world, like I said, is a lot more forgiving than the strict single mission system of the previous games. Well, previous first game, then the second game's got a little bit more of an open thing. And there's a lot more fluidity to your play style. You can switch between characters easier. You have a lot more going at your disposal. There's just a lot more that opens up to you in this game that the previous games do not have. So if you've never played and you want to jump in the first time, this is the best time to do it. Now, if you are jumping ahead to this portion of the video, I'm going to rehash a portion that I just talked about. So this is for people that have played Soulsborne games. You know, you've played your Lies of P, you've played Elden Ring, you've played all those things. So you understand the DNA, you understand, I've said DNA so many times in this video already, you understand the basis of how these genres work. So I'm not going to go into those little things, you know, those kind of basics. But there are two big things you need to understand with this if you're coming to this game. And it's the equipment system and the key pull system. Those are two things that are going to trip you up because they're very overwhelming at first. The key pull system is, here's my character at the very bottom. You can see, can I not use my mouse button? Where's my mouse? Well, whatever. At the very bottom, you see a white bar. That is my health bar. Below that is my key bar. Just think of that as your stamina. I'm going to say the word stamina for this section so it's easier to understand. Now, I can replenish my stamina by doing what is called a key pulse. If I swing my weapon, you'll see little blue sprites, and then I press a button, and that activates and replenishes the stamina that I lost. So watch the bar. I'm going to take 2 swings. You can see that it's got a red bar, then the red bar starts to fill back up with like an orangish yellow opaque. That refill is basically the timing on getting that key pulse active. So swing, swing. That gives me all of that opaque fill back. Then it replenishes my key at a faster rate. So swing, 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 and let it replenish on its own. Quite slow, right? So we go. That's what gets us back to our max stamina quickly. You can ignore the system, but it's going to punish you and you're going to get staggered and then you're going to get killed way easier than you would in most of these other games. This kind of rhythm system that's built into this is part of that kind of Team Ninja's Ninja Gaiden influence and a lot of the influence from just this I guess genre as a whole. But this is something that's going to trip you up because when I first jumped back in, I've played the hell out of Nioh 1. I've played a good chunk of Nioh 2, not a whole ton, but a good chunk. I've played so much Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Elden Ring, anything that made by From Software, right? So I came in with that mindset and it punished the shit out of me. And it was really frustrating. I almost stopped playing. I was like, oh, what the fuck am I doing? But you'll get a hang of it. It's just that you now need to worry about pressing another button. So I don't know if you're using a keyboard or a mouse or a controller. I play with a controller for all these games because I've started playing them on a controller on Xbox. So that might look really easy as I show it to you, but you have to learn that timing. You can mess the timing up. It still replenishes quicker than if you had just left it to go B. See, it's a little bit still of a faster system, even if you don't get the timing right. But then there are nested capabilities to that timing, to that key pulse. I can sit here and go over to my skill section. Let's go to dual swords. Well, there's some of these that will allow you to do a key pulse, then a follow-up attack. Maybe that's actually in the samurai section. Maybe it's not. Let's deflect. Well, you can do follow-up situations to the key pulse. Like, okay, so this allows me to purify the yokai realms, which would otherwise drain your stamina. You can further do crazy things like if I switch to increase key recovery, which is your stamina, when you switch stances during a flux. So a flux is changing to another stance on a successful key pulse, increase the amount of key recovered. So if I'm doing this and I decide to switch into a different stance, that'll make me have more key recovered. And I messed that up right there. And even someone who's been playing this for like 30 hours, I still mess up here and there. So stances are another thing. You switch between high, low, medium. The low, medium, high. Those do different damage styles, different attack patterns, faster or slower, more or less damage depending on. High is high damage with slower patterns, versus low is faster with lower damage, and then mid is right in the middle. So understanding those combat mechanics is crucial. But now you need to really look at equipment. And I talked about this in the previous section, but now that I'm coming into it from someone who understands this genre, there's a lot of nuance here. Let's switch over to the mouse. This will be easier for me to point out. So look at all this. Take a look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. So if you look at just equipment, I click this and I have a Diablo style loot system. Now, if I'm coming from a Dark Souls, it's just the same stuff over and over, right? Like, okay, I'm going to go loot this thing and it's the Crimson Knight set. This is the Dark Knight set. All I need to do is grind out farming it. This is different. You can grind these items and you can find these items easily on revenants, which are, okay, so if you know how you see the ghost of someone who died in a Dark Souls game, well, you can actually see their grave and then summon that person into your world, the kind of NPC version, and you kill them and they drop what that person had on when they died. So it's a way to farm specific gear that you're looking for. But there's a lot of complexity to this gear. So let's just take a look at this item. You have your weight, very standard thing that you know from across the genre. You have your encumbrance up here, which is then going to make you go slower and slower and slower, but you then have more and more defense, right? But there's more to this. You then have special effects. So every single item has an implicit. An implicit is something that I'm going to borrow from the Diablo universe or any other action RPG where certain items have innate capabilities. So let's take a look at this, a regular troops hat. You see this little icon right there? This tells me that it tells me right there, effect that is set for all items with the same name. So all irregular troop hats have equipment drop rate 0.8%. That is a set value. And then this one right here says this is for forging, but I can pull this off. It requires the use of Umbersight when changing the special effects through crafting of the blacksmith. So you get tons of information just from the special effects section, and every single one of these has different special effects. Take a look at this Crimson General helmet. This one's different. This one's different. This one's different. And we have, again, a loot system that has different rarities, right? So we have different levels, and then we have different defense that corresponds to those levels, and then we have different weight. This is the heaviest weight. This is the lightest weight. These little bells, these little barbells, I guess you could say, like dumb weights that you'd put like on a scale. They denote the heaviness, weight of something. I guess I don't have any medium helmets. That's weird. Yeah, I just have light and heavy, but all this factors in because it's a wild system. And then even on top of that, you have familiarity. So all of your weapons have a familiarity. You know that you've played this genre before, and the genre has scaling, right? Every weapon has a scaling. Your weapon's going to scale according to a specific stat. So let's go ahead and, oh shit. I mean, damn, shoot, darn. Let's press this and let's press V. So I can see over here that the reference stat, this is your scaling stat, it has an A, B, and a C basically, or a 1, 2, and a 3. Maybe that's better to say. It scales the most with 1. It scales the least, or I'm sorry, it scales less with 2. It scales the least with 3. So it's from left to right. Indicates which 3 core stats influence your attack. The stat with the highest value will affect it greatly. The next highest will it affect it slightly, and the lowest will have a minimal effect. So I know if I want to use all dual swords, I need to have heart, strength, and then magic. So heart, strength, and magic. I can see the corresponding. And then I can match this up to my ninja that has, okay, well, this character has got constitution, skill, and magic. So at least I have an overlap in one of my current weapons. And you swap weapons as you see fit. So rather than being locked into one specific weapon's attack pattern like you would in any of these other genres, you get to choose from a class of weapons that all have the same attack pattern. So you get to kind of borrow and choose from them. The difference is you'll see that some of these are named differently. Let's go back over here. This is probably a little bit better. So let's say this is a sword. This is a sword. The difference here is that implicit. This sword has guard key consumption versus this one has strong attack key consumption. And you can forge these weapons at a blacksmith. So if you have never played a Nioh title, you see all these complexities. And I know it seems very dense, but honestly, once you kind of get into it, it kind of plays itself and you really unfolds. Familiarity, it builds by just simply using the weapon, and it builds regardless if you're on ninja style or samurai style. So it's really nice there. And then that further increases your attack. Your attack right here is based off of your reference stats and the familiarity. So that's why this says base attack 107, but the actual attack is 194. So you have a lot of nuance and layering built into this game, and that's just in the equipment system. I didn't talk anything about all the systems that are locked into the game through your titles, which is basically, think about when you go through a game and you kill 500 of one creature with one weapon. Well, in this game, it gives you titles that give you benefits that you can take advantage of. So for example, here, if I go to title list, I can go to tactics. Okay, if I've killed people with bows, I'm just basically ranking up achievements. So these achievements give you direct correlation to ways that you can mitigate dangers within the game. Something very unique to the Nioh title series of games. And if I come over here, you see this little guy down here in the lower left, that little like Charizard next to my health bar? That's a guardian spirit. That's another big portion of this specific title, is you can have different guardian spirits which give you different special effects, and they maybe go for a different element. So maybe you're trying to do a strength build that is fire focused, well, use the Kusanagi, or maybe if I'm on my samurai or my ninja, I'm going to use the Enko, which is going to be fire as well. So there's a lot of ways to build in this game, and I would say, you know, like Dark Souls has got building kind of light, and Nioh titles have building extreme. It's like they're very much a builder's game. It's like comparing Diablo to Path of Exile. It's very easy to make a build that's really solid in Diablo. It's very easy to make a build that's solid in Dark Souls. It's harder to make a build that's functional in Path of Exile. It's harder to make I wouldn't say it's harder to make a build that's functional in this game, but there's far more nuance to making a build in this game. And even though it seems like there's so many systems to interact with, it's actually a very fluid system because the game delivers these systems to you piecemeal. So this last section is going to be for those of you who have played the Nioh titles before. You've played your Soulsborne, and let's just kind of break through one of the very first things here, or not very first things, but just a fun thing here in a enemy base. And I mean, here's just the map real quick, and this is just a portion in just a specific timestamp. There's further more up here. There's more down here. Oh, nope, I guess so. There's right there. There's that one. And then, of course, there's different eras to jump into, which is kind of a holdover of 2. You can see here that this looks all kind of beautiful and scenic, but there is this big, huge, that little hand right there. It used to be this big, huge, red, colossal thing. So it made everything dark and spooky. So it borrows from both of those games as far as the visual aesthetic. You'll get portions of it that feel very like Nioh 1, but you'll get portions of it that feel very much like, no, that would kill him, but I guess not. Nioh, oh, that didn't kill him either. He's gonna be pissed. Like Nioh 2. So the biggest thing though is, you know, am I gonna like this, the style system? And let's kind of bring this screen up really quick. Nope, this screen up really quick. These are your ninja styles. This is the pole staff, and I can't remember what this one is. But here's your ninja, here's your samurai weapons. Here's your ninja weapons. So, you know how the dual swords play. Dual ninja swords and dual swords play pretty much the same. Ninja swords and swords play pretty much the same. Of course, it's going to be skills that change the way things are. And that was like that in all the other ones, right? You leveled up the skills and stuff to make kind of like more complexity within those specific weapon types. But now this is all kind of locked. To be perfectly honest with you, the way that the game feels between these two, it feels very fluid, because the samurai style lends itself to, well, here, let's there we go, lends itself to the weapons that you use in samurai. Being able to deflect, being able to kind of tank damage, stuff like that. It makes sense that those are more in the samurai section. And having the crossover between sword and dual sword means I don't really feel like I am missing out on anything too drastic. And I think that's a pretty important thing, because I think people coming to this, they're going to go, you know, I always use the tonfas or the kusaragamas, gamma, and I don't really want to play a ninja. You don't really need to. I'm using a ninja kind of like, I think I've got like lighter armor on. Yeah, most of my armor is light. You can actually wear like medium and heavy armor on ninja and be a little bit bulkier and have a little bit more sustain. And a lot of the deflect capabilities and dodge capabilities of the ninja and whatnot are built into actual skills over here. I don't know where the hell it is, but you can actually make it so that, oh, okay, it's wide circle, it's a strong attack. One of these, okay, here, knocks an enemy down by sweeping their legs with the kusarigama's metal weight. Left bumper the moment before an enemy's attack connects. This is the same thing as a deflect. So I'm using deflect built into the ninja, and the samurai will then have the ability, not necessarily to evade, but I can have stuff in this that will have evade be built into samurai. So I can pull the mechanics that make each unique into the respective stance style, which I think is really important for people coming across. This is the biggest pain point that I've read about that people don't like about 3. They're like, I don't want this to be two bifurcated ways of playing. And the nice thing is, though, I have this character that is kind of, you know, a little bit more lithe and quick and fast. Oh, if I could get him in. Aha! Oh God, I got shot. And then I could, at the drop of a hat, just switch over to a character that is a little bit more tanky, and just get knocked into a precipice over here, dude. Good Lord. And I think that is, it's nice, it's unique, it's fun, because I don't need to feel like my character is going to be pigeonholed into a very specific play style early. Now, another thing too is, if I come over here and I go, you know what, I invested everything into dual swords and kusarigama, I actually don't like them. You can, where is the button? There's a way to do it from the screen. Maybe I actually have to do it in prayer, I think. Yeah, okay, reset. So I can reset all the categories, only the one I'm looking at right now, whatever I want, and at the drop of a hat. And I can do the same thing for my stats. So I can swap this stuff out and actually play around with it, which is something that you needed. There was way more buy-in when you played Nioh 1, and I can't remember about respecs in Nioh 2. So I could respec at any point. So this allows me to play with a lot of the weapons that you find in this game from different styles and say like, okay, you know what? Let's just try Ninja Sword and Samurai Sword, and I'll play around with them both. Okay, I don't like Samurai Sword, we'll go to Axe. Axe is stupid broken, by the way. And I'll try Talons. Talons suck. I'm going to go with Tonfas. Tonfas are amazing. Let me try this. Like, it allows you to play with the points you've accumulated and to try to see if there's different weapons that really work for you. So while the style system does feel like it's going to be a rigid way to play, it actually ends up becoming a very fluid way to play, because you feel like you're not just simply, okay, this character I've made is just a axe specialist, and I'm going to go really hard into tanking, and that's it. And if I want to do like a magic ninja build, I'm just going to have to do that on a second playthrough. You don't really have to do that this time around. Oh, my hand just got frozen there. There we go. You can actually just have that be built in. And the key pulse is part of Samurai. The ninja has the, it just takes whacks in the face, has these little cool like specters that you leave behind, these little like shadow clones. that you can use to then like get behind something and do more damage. So you have a whole different play style that the stance affords you. And I think it's a really important thing to see the difference between these two things. So now you can actually have an idea of how this plays. But play the demo. I think no person, no group, quote unquote, that I've covered so far benefits more from the demo than you people. What do you mean you people? Than those of you that are Nioh title veterans. You've played 1 and 2. You know what to expect. You know the combat system. You know the Guardian system. You know all of it. It's just more refined this time around. It's the leveraging all these systems is way more streamlined as far as just being able to access them from menus, being able to swap things in and out very easily, very fluidly. You know how all this crap works. But you got to play the demo to see if the style system is going to play to how you want. Like being able to just kind of like go mid-fight, go, okay, this guy is really too fast for me. I need to do this. That's a cool boon. And then be able to just to do it. Oh, just get prison shanked by a spear. Being able to do that is actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to end up being kind of a bummer, but it ended up being really cool. And being able to just kind of fluidly swap around. I don't really do it, you know, like I'm not that good of a gamer. But being able to fluidly swap around like this is it's made boss fights a lot more interesting too, because there's portions of boss fights that are like in stages, right? Oh, in stages, right? Like I said, I'm not the best gamer in the world here. In stages, so maybe it makes sense to be a little bit more nimble and a little bit more evasion forward. And then once the boss kind of stabilizes, there we go. You switch back to samurai to kind of tank through it or do a burst to your damage, whatever the situation is. So the stance style, while I think is the biggest point of contention for anyone who is a veteran, I think it is something that you will learn to love very quickly. So at that, it brings our video here to a close. We've covered a lot of different things here, and I repeated a lot of information because I wanted you to be able to jump around and navigate this as a way that fit you, the player, rather than me, the presenter. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of, is Nioh actually going to be for you? I think if you want to play another Dark Souls game and you wanted to do it in a feudal Japan setting, whether you're a veteran of the title or you're a veteran of the genre, this is definitely the game for you. It's just so fun. I loved Nioh 1. Nioh 1 had the same frustrations as Nioh 3 of just trying to learn a new system that once you learn it is extremely rewarding and it's very, very fun. Now, if you're brand new to all of this, I think this is one of the better games to jump into. Elden Ring, I think, is another really good one, but I think that this one is a great experience that has, I want to say, a little bit more straightforward of a storytelling element. From Software games are deliberately very cryptic, and they require you to really invest into the reading of the lore of the items and everything in the game, and stuff is told in like this like weird broken old English, versus this is very plain, straightforward. You're doing this to do that, and you're in this situation. You know, it's all very kind of nicely laid out for you, much in the same way as, again, a Ninja Gaiden, which is much in the same way of like a Ninja Gaiden, which is I keep referring to it because it's the same development team. Well, at least the same development house, maybe not the same specific team. But go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Have you played the demo? Do you think that this is just not a game for you? Have you, are you a Nioh veteran and you've played the demo and the stance system just, it's not clicking? Or has the stance system converted you because of that demo? Whatever it is, let it be known in the comment section below. I'll provide a link to the demo in the description so you can just go ahead and jump. It's just on Steam. You go ahead and type in Nioh 3 and it's right there. But if you have any other questions, just let me know. I'm pretty far into the game. I'm going to be playing it even more before launch next week. I'll be doing some streams and everything, so you can come on, you can ask questions, you can say, hey, how does that work? What does this do? Blah, and so forth. And I'll have tons of guides I'm going to be working on to help explain each one of the systems, because there are just so many systems in this game. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.